All right, so we're diving into something a little different today.
Different good or different?
Hopefully good. Hopefully good.
Okay.
But definitely different. Um, we're looking into the 2024 Ballon d'Or,
Oh,
and specifically why Vinicius Jr. didn't win.
always a hot topic.
Oh, yeah. Always sparks debate,
Yeah.
especially online, I feel like.
Oh, totally.
But what's interesting is we're actually taking our cues from a hypothetical situation.
Okay.
So our source material
Right.
is actually a prompt for a French podcast.
Huh. All right.
So it's like this podcast is supposed to be analyzing why he lost and whether or not it was an injustice.
Ooh, injustice. That's a strong word.
Right. Like
Yeah.
that sets up a lot to unpack there.
For sure. For sure. So we're essentially deep diving into a deep dive.
Kind of, yeah, we're going meta with it.
I like it. I like it.
So obviously we don't know exactly what this French podcast would have said.
Right. We just have the prompt.
Right. But that prompt itself gives us like a framework, you know?
Totally. It's like a jumping off point.
Exactly.
So where do we jump to?
Well, first off, I think we got to acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Which is?
The Ballon d'Or is subjective.
Oh, 100%. It's not like some pure stat-based award.
No, it's all about those voters and what they value, you know?
Exactly. So I imagine this French podcast would have dug into that. Like what were the voters looking at in 2024?
Yeah, were they all about team trophies?
Mm.
Individual stats? Like, what was the criteria?
And who else was in the running?
Yeah.
It's not like Vinicius Jr. was the only amazing player that year, I'm sure.
Right. We don't have names from this hypothetical podcast, but they definitely would have compared him to other contenders.
Yeah, like maybe there was someone who just had an insane season statistically or led their team to like a Champions League title.
Which brings up that whole debate of individual brilliance versus team success.
Oh, yeah. Classic Ballon d'Or dilemma.
Like, could it be that Vinicius Jr. was amazing on a personal level?
Right. Like had those standout moments.
Exactly. But maybe his team didn't win as much as another contender's team.
Right. So the voters maybe prioritized the guy who lifted those big trophies, even if he wasn't always the flashiest player.
See, that's where that injustice angle comes in.
Ah, okay, I see.
Like maybe the French podcast argued that Vinicius Jr. was so impactful
Right.
that it shouldn't have mattered if his team didn't win at all,
Interesting. So they're basically saying his individual brilliance should have outweighed everything else.
Potentially. Yeah, maybe they highlighted those game-changing moments he had.
Oh, mate, like the ones that just tilt the entire match.
Exactly. And maybe argued that those were more valuable than just consistently good performances on a winning team.
Okay, so it's a clash of philosophies almost.
Right? Like, what defines the best player? Is it consistency and trophies or those moments of pure magic?
Makes you think about how different voters must interpret that.
Totally. And it makes you wonder, like, how did this French podcast break down Vinicius Jr.'s game specifically?
Yeah, did they just focus on goals and assists or did they look deeper?
Right? Like, maybe they talked about his chance creation or how he just terrifies defenders.
Or his overall impact on the flow of a game, even.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
stuff that doesn't always show up in the stats.
Right, but you can feel it when you watch him play.
For sure. And on the flip side, I bet they also analyzed whoever hypothetically won.
Yeah, like what made them stand out to the voters?
What were their strengths?
Yeah.
Maybe the French podcast presented a balanced argument,
Yeah, acknowledging Vinicius Jr.'s talent.
but also explaining why the other guy deserved it too.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, it seems like the core of this hypothetical debate
Yeah.
revolves around individual skill versus team wins.
Totally. And then the subjective nature of the voting process.
Right, and of course, who else was in the running that year?
And with that injustice angle, it sounds like they were arguing that Vinicius Jr.'s unique impact might have been overlooked.
Which I guess brings us back to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
These individual awards in a team sport are always going to be tricky.
Always going to spark debate. So now I want to throw it out to you listening.
Oh, what up?
Given everything we've talked about today, and that whole idea of individual versus team and the subjective voting,
Right.
what are your thoughts on whether or not Vinicius Jr. got a fair shake in the 2024 Ballon d'Or? Hit us up on social media. Let's keep this conversation going.
Yeah, because this is a debate that's not going away anytime soon.
Never does.
Never does.
All right, that's it for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Bye.